Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time is definitely a little bit of a funny one, a little bit of a crazy one, a little bit of everything, I would say. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. If you do, leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't really know how else to start this other than just starting it. So let's get into it. So today's story time all takes place back in the year of 2015. Now, this was towards the end of my high school career. I hadn't dropped out quite yet because I wasn't allowed to. But I was definitely nearing that point of my life, and I was barely going to school at this point. And when I was definitely not paying attention very much, not really doing the work, and that's not good. Don't be like me back then. But yeah, just giving you a little insight to how bad of a student I really was. So this all starts off like any other day back in 2015. This was actually one of the days where I went to school. So I woke up pretty early. I think it was like 6:20 or 30. My bus was coming to my house around 6:45 at this point, so I had to like get up really fast, get ready really fast, and get on the bus, which I did. I made it with barely any time to spare. Got on the bus, went to school, and for the most part, most of the school day was relatively normal. Nothing really to talk about. But at the end of the day, I was in my last period class, so literally the final period, final class before I got to go home and just chill. And my final class was actually study hall, which I loved because study hall, you didn't really have to do a whole lot. You just got to work on homework or like listen to music. So I was just kind of chilling there in the back of the room doing nothing, right? And while I'm sitting in there with my earbuds in, listening to my music, this kid approaches me. Now, I knew of this dude. I knew him because he had the same name as me. His name was Austin. And I had some friends that hung out with him sometimes, and they were like good friends with him. And I never really heard anything too bad about the kid. Like, he seemed like a good dude, seemed like a very chill dude. But there was one thing I always heard, and it made me kind of avoid him because it sounded like it wouldn't mesh well with me. His dad was a very high-ranking police officer. Like, this dude was like one of the top-tier cops in our area, and his dad was also notoriously known for being a dick. I had met his dad before because his dad one time yelled at me for loitering outside of a store once, which basically just means you're hanging out outside and you're not leaving, which wasn't even what I was doing. I was waiting for my ride. Like, I was trying to leave, and he yelled at me to keep it moving. So yeah, his dad was kind of a dick. So I kind of avoided hanging out with Austin number 2 that is, because I didn't want to see his dad. But I saw Austin approaching me in study hall. He was coming up to me to say something, so I took my earbuds out. And he comes up to me, and he's like, yo, what's up, Austin? And I was like, what's up, Austin? Nice to see you. He's like, yeah. So what are you up to today? And I was like, nothing, man. How about you? He's like, nothing. I had a question for you, and I wonder if, like, you'd be cool with this. And I was like, sure, man. Lay it on me. He was like, so, I've never, like, smoked weed before, and I really want to try it. But, like, I don't really know where to get any. I don't really want to buy a bunch and do it alone. So I was wondering if like maybe you could like meet up with me somewhere and like just give me a little bit to smoke and like hang out with me and make sure my first time goes smoothly. And like immediately in my head, the alarm bells start going off, right? I'm like, yo, I cannot link up with this kid and smoke weed with him. Like his dad is one of the highest ranking police officers in our county. Like I cannot do that. So I tell him the truth. I'm like, listen, man, I'd really love to help you. I really would. But your dad is a scary, scary motherfucker, and I do not want to make him mad. And before I can continue talking, he interrupts me, and he's like, dude, I know what you're saying, I completely get it, but don't worry, I already thought about that. Like, I would come to your house over the weekend or something, I would just stay the weekend there. Like, that way we have plenty of time, we wouldn't get caught, like, it'd be all good. Like, this dude had a whole plan already made in his head, right? And I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to invite some kid I barely knew to my house for the weekend just so he could smoke weed for the first time, and like, I just didn't want to deal with it. But he kept insisting that I do this. Like, he kept asking, and I kept saying no. But every time, he would just be like, no, but, like, listen, like, this is why you should do it. And I was like, all right, dude, you know what? Fine, dude, I got you. But you need to promise me that you're not going to tell anybody that knows your dad, okay? Because if this gets back to your dad, I'm dead. And he's like, don't worry, bro, I got you, man. And I was like, okay. So, later that week, when the weekend hit, he came over to my house on Friday. His dad dropped him off. And I already was off to a rough start with this guy. So his dad pulls up in my driveway with Austin, brings him up to my front door, knocks on my front door. I answer it. And I go, hey, like, what's up, guys? And Austin comes in. And then his dad is still on the porch. And he goes, can I talk to you for a sec? And I was like, sure. So I step outside. And he goes, listen, I don't know you. I've never met you. But I want to make sure no funny business is going to happen with my kid. And I was like, funny business? Like what's that mean? And he's like, sneaking out, doing something illegal, smoking dope or something. Like, none of that, right? And I was like, sir, I got you. Don't worry. I'm not doing any of that. I'm good. And he's like, all right, because I'll know if you do. You know that? And I was like, okay, I get it. He goes, all right, is your mom home? And I was like, yeah. So I went inside. I got my mom. She came out, talked to him for a little bit, probably had the same conversation. And after that, he left. And it was just me and Austin. And we had some time to kill before my mom went to sleep and we could go smoke. So we spent most of that day just playing some COD in my room. And he was actually pretty fun to hang out with. He was a cool dude, honestly. I could see why my friends liked him. We definitely shared a lot of similar interests. For example, he knew that I was trying to do YouTube, and he also loved that, and he had a channel as well. He doesn't do it anymore, unfortunately, but at the time he was very passionate about it. He liked all the same games as me. He seemed like a cool kid, right? Kind of weird he had the same name as me. I think he might have spawned out of an alternate universe of me, but it's cool, whatever. But anyway, fast forward to later that night. It was time to smoke. My mom had went to bed. We were good to go. So I went downstairs, grabbed my stash from the basement. Me and Austin then snuck out to my backyard behind my pool, went back there, and we started smoking. Now, I don't know if this dude watched a bunch of YouTube videos before he tried this for the first time. I'm assuming he did. And I also don't know if this dude had an iron set of lungs or something, because this dude took my bowl for the first time, ripped it with no tutorial needed. He knew exactly what to do. And he took a bigger rip than I did and then held it in for 5 seconds and then blew it out and just didn't cough at all. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there fuck, dying, bro. And he's just like, you okay? And I was like, yeah, are you? How are you not coughing? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, I guess you're just a natural? I don't know. So we end up smoking a whole bowl together. And he's feeling it already. He's not one of those people that didn't feel it his first time. He definitely feels it. And he's actually having a pretty good experience. He's smiling. He's laughing at a bunch of shit. He's in just a very happy mood, right? So I'm having a good time. And so is he. And we spend the whole weekend pretty much just playing COD, smoking weed, eating junk food, just having a good time. And honestly, I really like this dude. I was like, yo, this is one of my new best friends. This dude's the shit. What I thought was going to be a terrible weekend and super awkward because I didn't know him that well, turns out I made a really good friend and I was glad that I did it, okay? Now fast forward to Sunday. Sunday, it's time for him to leave. His dad comes at about noon, picks him up. His dad didn't say much to me or my mom. He just said, thanks for having my son, and then he left. And that was the end of it. And I thought, okay, good. Everything went well. That was until later that night. So I'm in my room. It's 8:30 p.m. I remember because I was scrolling Twitter and I saw it in the top left. It said 8:32. And I get a text message that made my entire heart drop. It was from a random phone number, right? At 8:32 p.m. that says, you're going to jail. And I was like, what? So I immediately reply to this message and I say, who is this? And he replies and says, Austin's dad. And immediately, man, I'm like, oh, fuck. I thought my life was over, man. I'm like, yo, he knows. He knows what happened. He knows everything. I'm fucked. So I just try and ignore it, right? I'm thinking okay, this isn't real. This isn't real. If I just ignore it, it'll go away. It'll be fine. And the next thing I know, my phone starts ringing from Austin's dad. And I'm like, fuck. I have to answer this. I knew I had to answer it, but I was too scared. So I just let it go to voicemail. And then he texts me and he says, answer the phone or I'm going to show up to your house. And I'm like, no. That's all I could think in my head. And I ignored that too. And I blocked his number because I was too scared to deal with him. And I just tried to lay down in bed and hope that he wouldn't show up to my house that night. And sure enough, 10 fucking minutes later, dude. 10 minutes. That's how fast this dude was at my house. I get a knock on my front door. And I hear my mom yell from the other room, Austin, who's at the door? And I was like, I don't know. I knew who it was. I was lying. And my mom gets up out of bed, because she goes to bed early. She gets up out of bed, goes up to the front door, opens it, and I hear her say, oh, hey, good to see you again. Is everything okay? And he yells, where's Austin? And she goes, my son? And he's like, yeah, your son. Where is he? And she's like, in his room? Why? Did he do something wrong? And he goes, yeah, he did. And she's like, what'd he do? And he goes, You'll find out. Bring him out here. And she goes, Austin, come here. So I get up out of bed. I walk out there. I pretend like I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what's up? What's up, guys? Like, what's happening? And this dude goes, tell your mom what you did with my son. And I was like, nothing. Just hung out, played video games. Why? Like, what happened? And he goes, no, don't bullshit me right now. Don't lie to us. Tell your mom and me the truth. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, okay, maybe this will jog your memory. And he pulls out a paper. It's a drug test that says positive for THC with his son's name on it. And I was like, yo, what? Like, he fucking drug tested him? That's like all I could think in my head was like, yo, how ridiculous is that? But I still played dumb. I was like, well, I didn't smoke with him. I don't know what you want me to say. And he goes, don't bullshit me. My son has never smoked in his life. I drug test him frequently. He's always negative. How come after he spends one weekend at your house, I bring him home and I notice that he has weed under his fingernails and he's failing a drug test? Why don't you tell me how that's happening? Now, I was trying my best to think of a response to him, but all I could think about was the fact that he just told me that the reason he knew was because he found weed under his son's fingernails. So, like, I really want to know how that went. Like, did his son get in the car? Like, did Austin get in the car? And then his dad immediately grabbed his hands and, like, smelled them and, like, checked under his fingernails for weed residue? Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I'm guessing that's really what happened or something. Because at one point when me and Austin were smoking through the weekend, he asked me to, like, hold a nug and help rip it up for the bowl. So he probably got some stuck under his nail or something, and his dad probably noticed it. But anyway, he basically asked me, like, okay, if we didn't smoke together, why is he failing this drug test? And why do I see weed under his nails right after he's done hanging out with you? And I didn't really have a good response. And before I could even think of a response, my mom kind of took over. And she was like, listen, sir, like, I'm sure you're correct. I bet my son and your son probably smoked weed together. But, like, let's be honest here. What's done is done. So let's just move forward with the discipline process. And she was making complete sense by saying that. Like, yeah, me and Austin definitely smoked together. So what's left now is to clearly just discipline them. So ground them, essentially, right? And this dude doesn't want to take that for an answer. He's like, no, what's done is not done. I want to know why they did it. I want to know who they got it from. I want to know how much he has. Your son might go to jail tonight. That's what he said. And that made me shit myself on the inside. I was like, yo, what? Am I about to go to jail? And my mom goes into, like, lawyer mode. She's like, sir, I understand that you're upset that our sons smoked weed together, but I really don't think my son is going to jail for maybe having $10, $20 worth of weed on him. So let's just cut that shit out. And he gets real offended. He's like, are you sure about that? He might have a lot more than you think. He could be selling dope, like, you don't know. And my mom's like, I appreciate your concern with my son, but I think I would know if he was slinging drugs out of our house. And after she says this guy proceeds to walk away from our house. He just turns around and starts walking away without saying anything. And my mom goes, okay, have a good one. And she closes the door on him because we thought that was the end of it, right? Well, 10 minutes later, we get a knock on my door again. We open the door, and it's 2 police officers. It's 2 cops, and then him. This dude really called his friends. He called in backup over me and his son smoking some weed. Don't get me wrong. I think he had the right to be upset and, like, you know, scare us a little bit. But, like, 2 cops, calling out 2 cops from probably way more important matters to come talk to a young teenager about weed. It just blew my mind, right? So we open the door. And my mom, literally, the first thing she said, she goes, really? This is what we're doing? And even the cops, like the 2 cops, looked very, very like they didn't want to be there, right? And this guy goes, Austin's dad, he goes, I'd like my buddies here to search Austin's room and see if he has, you know, more than what we're thinking for weed. And my mom goes, do they have a warrant? And even they look at him like he's crazy. And he goes, well, I can get a warrant. And they're like, sir, this is not worth it. Like, he's a young kid. I guarantee he does not have ounces and ounces of weed like you assume. Like, this is more of a family matter and not a matter of bringing us here. So we're going to head out. So even his cop buddies, the ones he called in for backup, basically told him, like, you're fucking crazy. What's funny to me is I don't even know why he called them in. He's such a high-ranking police officer. I thought he could, like, do all this himself. But yeah, he called them in. Maybe it's because they were actively on the job or something. I don't know, right? I don't really know the rules and regulations of that stuff. But anyway, the cops left. And finally, after like 10 minutes of going back and forth with him, he finally left. We basically ended it on like my mom saying, I'll ground my son, you ground yours. Like, let's leave it at that. And he had nothing else he could really do. So yeah, he left. And after we got back inside, my mom sits me down and she goes, "Really, Austin? You smoked with someone whose father is a police officer? Like, is that smart?" And I was like, "No." And she goes, "No, it's not. Like, use your brain. Seriously." And I was like, "I'll try." And after that, I just went to bed. She didn't even take my phone or my Xbox or anything. I thought she'd ground me, but she just didn't have the energy, I guess. So I went inside my room, I laid down, and I start like drifting off to sleep, right? Within like 30 minutes. And I get a phone call from none other than Austin. And I answer it, and the first thing this kid says is, "Bro, I'm so sorry that he got your number. Like, he forced me to give it to him. Like, I did not want him to call you and make a scene. Like, I'm so sorry he showed up to your house, bro. Like, this was not what I wanted to happen. I know you didn't want this to happen either, and it did. I'm so sorry, bro." I was like, dude, chill. It's okay. Like, honestly, it didn't go as bad as I thought it would. And your dad seemed like he kind of gave up on trying to get me in trouble with the law. So I think we're good. And he's like, "All right, man. Like, once again, dude, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Dude, you're good. Chill. And I was like, "Bro, just word of advice though, next time, if you smoke weed, you might want to clean your fingernails before you get in the car with your dad," because he said that he saw them under your nails. And he's like, "Yeah, man, he caught me that way, and then he drug tested me, and like he did some like police level drug test, bro. I didn't think it would show up, but it did." And I was like, "Damn, dude." And he's like, "Yeah." And yeah, the next day I woke up, and unfortunately, I wasn't let off the hook. I did get grounded the next day. I got grounded for a month. And Austin number 2 got grounded for 3 months, and his dad took his phone away, and he made him do even more consistent drug testing. So that sucks. I'm really glad my dad isn't like Austin's dad, because that would suck. But yeah, guys, moral of the story is, just don't do any of the stuff I talked about in this story time, because I was an idiot, and it led to complications. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I will see you all later. Peace.
I'm staying up and you won't take my place. I made like 30 just a week ago and I'm not phased. I heard that song you dropped, you capping, now I see your face.